Good afternoon and welcome to the campus of Immanuel Lutheran High School for this afternoon's matchup between the Lincoln Hornets and your Immanuel Lutheran Lancers. Today is Senior Day at Immanuel. We will acknowledge our seniors prior to introducing today's lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you are able. Take off your hats as we honor our nation and the men and women who support our freedom at home and abroad with the playing of our national anthem. Immanuel Lutheran High School, Lincoln High School, and the WIA require good sportsmanship at education-based sporting events. Attendance at interscholastic activities is a privilege with the expectation to exhibit positive and respectful behavior. For the enjoyment and respect of all in attendance, your cooperation in demonstrating the high ideals of sportsmanship is expected and greatly appreciated. And now, in honor of our seniors, introducing our seniors. Number 5, from Middleton, Wisconsin, Jonathan Brandel. Number 20, from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Andrew Platt. And number 34, from Inver Grove Heights, Minnesota, Noah Thoreau. And now for today's lineup. The starting lineup for the Hornets. Sophomore, number 2, Jace Paul. Junior, number 13, Stephen Weary. Sophomore, number 21, Weston Burnt. Sophomore, number 22, Benjamin Ross. And senior, number 23, Raul Escamilla. The Hornets are coached by Jerry Hansen, assisted by John Anderson and Trent Lean. And now for your Lancers. Senior number 5, Jonathan Brendo. Junior number 11, Ben Rademacher. Junior number 12, Carter Rutz. Senior number 20, Andrew Platt. And senior number 35, Noah Thoreau. The Lancers are coached by John Radical, assisted by Joe Lau. Enjoy the game.
Hello and welcome to tonight's matchup between the Immanuel Lancers and the AC Lincoln Hornets. Taking the tip will be Rademacher and Ross. Ross wins the tip, tipped over to Burnt. And Burnt will pass over to Paul. Paul up top, gonna send it over to Raul. Over to Burnt. Corner to Paul. Down low to Ross. Sends it over to Weir. Over to Paul. Corner to Burnt. Back up to Raul. Raul drives in. Gonna pass out to Ross. Corner to Burnt. Burnt fakes and travels. Rademacher gonna send it over to Plath. Plath up top to Rutz. Rutz over to Thoreau. Thoreau bounces out. Gonna pass over to Rutz. Rutz up top. Sends it over to Brandel. Brandel over to Thorough. Thorough up to Plath. Plath fakes. Gonna pass over to Rutz. Rutz a 3. First one will bounce out. Tipped. And picked up by Ross. Pass over to Paul. And Paul will take it up the floor. Pass over to Burnt. Over to Raul. Up to Burnt. Over to Stefan. Over to Paul. Paul fakes. He'll drive in. Fake. And pass down low to Ross. Puts it up. Too low. Rebounded by Rademacher. Rademacher up top. Sends it out to Plath. Over to Rutz. Rutz's second 3. This one's going to fall. Gives the Lancers a 3-point lead. Paul up the floor. Sends it over to Burnt. Corner to Raul. He'll bounce out. Fake and send it over to Stefan. Over to Paul. He'll put up a 3. His will be just wide. Rebounded by Raul. Pass out to Ross. Back up top to Paul. Paul fakes. He'll drive in. Corner tipped by Rademacher. And out of bounds off him. Paul pass it in to Raul. Sends it over to Burnt. Corner to Ross. Ross up top. Going to send it over to Wary. Puts it up. And tipped off the glass. Rebounded by Rutz. Over to Rademacher. Rademacher drives in. Gets stuck. Going to pass it out to Brandel. Brandel over to Plath. Up to Rademacher. Down low to Thorough. Up top to Rademacher. He'll drive in. Bounce out. And pass over to Plath. Gets a screen. Going to drive around. Puts up a jumper. Bounces out. Rebounded by Rademacher. And he is fouled. Plath will pass it in down low. Sends it up top to Thorough. Hand off to Rutz. Rutz up top. Gonna drive around. Cut out. Put up a 3. Too hard off the glass. Rebounded by Plath. Pass down low to Rademacher. Sends it to Thorough. Thorough a jumper. And he's got it! Gives the Lancers a 5-point lead. Paul up the floor. Sends it over to Burnt. Corner to Raul. He'll drive up, bounce out, and pass over to Stefan. Pass tipped out of bounds off Plath. Paul passes it in from the corner. Gets it into Raul. He'll bounce out, pass over to Burnt. Burnt up to Ross. Ross drives around, gonna pass over to Stefan. He'll put up a jumper, and he's got it. Cuts the lead down to 3, passing to Rademacher. Rademacher high up the floor to Plath. Tipped, he'll get it back, pass over to Rademacher. Rademacher drives in. Pass up to Rutz. Rutz a 3, his third. This one gonna bounce out. Paul up top. He'll drive around, bounce out, and pass down low. Stefan's got it. Gonna pass it out to Burnt. Over to Paul. Paul fakes, he'll drive in. Make a move, and pass out to Ross. Ross drives in, puts it up, he's fouled. Can't get a shot to fall. Ross is first. Will bounce out. Quaid and Havemeyer enter for Brandel and Thorough. And Raul exits for Fisher. Ross is second. Will fall. Cuts the lead to 2. Passing to Rutz. Rutz over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer up the floor. Makes a move, drives around, cuts out, and gonna drive in. Pass over to Rutz. Rutz down low to Rademacher. Fakes, drives in, bounces out, and he'll pass over to Rutz. Rutz is 5th. This one's gonna fall. 2 for 5 on the night. Sends the Lancer lead to 5. Paul pass over to Burnt. Over to Fisher. Down low to Burnt. Pass picked off by Rademacher. Rademacher gonna push it. And send out to Havemeyer. Over to Quaid. Quaid fakes. He'll drive in. Has a lane. Puts it up. Too far. Rebounded by Rademacher. He's stripped. Ball on the floor. Picked up and sent up to Paul. Paul up the floor. Gonna try to push it. Drives all the way in. Makes a move. Puts it up and rims it in. Cuts the lead down to 3. Pass it to Plath. And Plath will slow it down. Drive it up top. And pass it low to Rademacher. Rademacher has a lane. Puts it up and he's got it off the glass. Good find. Good finish by Plath and Rademacher. Lancers extends the lead to 5. Paul up top. Gonna drive in. And pass over to Fisher. Fakes. Sends it over to Paul. Paul will deep 3. And he's got it. Deep 3 for Paul, and the Hornets back within 2. Havemeyer gonna pass over to Rutz. Rutz high up the floor to Plath. Plath over to Rutz. Rutz will cross the line. Drives around, cuts out, drives through, makes a move, gonna pass it to Quaid. Quaid fakes. Now gonna pass it low to Havemeyer, stripped and fouled. Anderson and Sito enter. Sito goes in for Plath, and Anderson enters for Steffen. And Sito will pass it in down low. High up to Rademacher. Fakes, gonna try to drive in. Makes a move, drives around, gonna hand it off to Quaid. Quaid a jumper, he fakes, gonna drive in, puts it up. Too hard off the glass. Rebounded and sent out to Paul. Sends it over to Burnt. Out to Paul, over to Fisher. He'll drive in, pass down low to Ross. Ross puts it up. Rims out, rebounded by Rademacher. Rademacher up top. Gonna hand it off to Sito. Sito drives around. Bounces out. And sends it over to Havemeyer. Sweeps through, drives in, and passes out to Quaid. Quaid fakes. Cuts back out, cuts back in, drives all the way in, puts it up. This time it'll fall. Sends the lead to 4. Passing to Paul, Paul up the floor. Sends it over to Fisher. Over to Anderson. Up to Fisher. He'll drive in, pass over to Anderson. Anderson all up to Paul. Paul fakes, he'll drive in, cut out, makes a move. Pass down low to Anderson. Anderson loses it out of bounds, Lancer ball. Sito will pass it in to Havemeyer. Up to Rademacher. Over to Sito. Sito gonna bounce it out and pass over to Quaid. Quaid down low to Rademacher. He'll drive around, fake, put it up, and rims around and out. Pass over to Paul, and Paul will take it over the floor. Pass over to Fisher. Up to Paul. He'll drive in. Fake. Pass over to Fisher. Fisher fakes. Peel pass down low. To Anderson. Out to Fisher. Over to Paul. Paul 3. This one going to bounce out. Rebounded by Rademacher. He'll send it high to Rutz. Rutz got Quaid on the other side. Not going to get him in time. Rutz now drives in. Puts it up. Rims out. Rebounded by Rademacher, and he is fouled. Rademacher's first will fall. Sends the lead to 5. Steffen and Castor will enter, as does Raul. For Fisher, Burnt, and Ross. Rademacher second will fall as well. Sends the lead to 6. Passing to Paul, Paul up the floor. Pass over to Raul. He'll drive in. Sends it out. 3. Airballed. Rebounded. Sent up. Tipped out by Steffen. High up the floor to Rutz. He's got a one-on-one with Raul. Drives him all the way in. Puts it up. Too low. Tipped out. Tipped again. Rebounded by Raul. And he'll pass over to Anderson. Sends it over to Paul. Corner to Raul. He'll drive in. Fake. And back up to Paul. Corner to Raul. Down low to Anderson. Anderson out to Paul. Paul fakes. He'll drive in. Put up a jumper. And it's fouled and one. Nice strong drive by Paul. Cuts the lead down to 4 at the line. Chance to cut to 3. His first and only will fall. Cuts the lead down to 3 and a timeout by the Hornets. 14-11, 3-point lead for the Lancers with 9:46 left. Sitter will pass it in down low. Gets in to Rademacher. Out to Havemeyer. Havemeyer up the floor. Gonna drive all the way through and loses it out of bounds. Hornet ball. Paul up top. Sends it over to Raul. Drives in, cuts out, gonna pass over to Paul. Paul fakes. Sends it over to Raul. Raul out to Anderson. Over to Raul, over to Paul. Ball fakes, he'll drive in, send it over to Raul. Raul down low to Anderson. And off a foot. Anderson will pass it in down low. Sends out to Paul. Paul a 3. Gonna bounce out. Rebounded by Rademacher. And gonna take it up the floor. Pass over to Quaid. Quaid fakes. Drives through. Puts it up. And blocked from behind. Rebounded and sent out to Paul. Paul bounces out. Hand off to Steffen. He'll drive in. Bounce out. Drive through. Put it up. And jumper will rim out. Rebounded by Kastner. Stripped and picked up by Thompson. Over to Havemeyer. And Havemeyer will take it up the floor. Sends it over to Sito. Drives around. Bounces out. Drives through. Pass over to Havemeyer. Picks a Quaid. Gonna drive through. And pass out to Thompson. Thompson over to Rademacher. Fakes a Sito. Gonna drive up top. Puts up a jumper. And bounces out. Rebounded by Raul, but he stepped out of bounds. Lancer ball. And timeout by the Hornets. 14-11, still a 3-point lead for the Lancers with 8:10 left. Rutz will pass it in. High up to Radical. He'll send it over to Thompson. Over to Rademacher. Down low to Radical, tipped. He'll get it back. And send out to Rademacher. Over to Havemeyer. He'll drive in. Bounce out, puts up a fadeaway. And he's got it. Sends the lead to 5. Kastner up top. Over to Riul. He'll fake and pass over to Kastner. Down low, over to Anderson, and he's got it off the glass. Rutz will pass it in to Havemeyer. He'll drive through, pass over to Rademacher. Rademacher high up to Rutz. Rutz gonna drive in, make a move, puts it up. Tipped off the glass and out. Rebounded and sent over to Kastner. Over to Riul. He'll drive in. Pass out to Steffen. Steffen a 3, and he's got it! Ties up the game at 16 apiece. Havemeyer bounces out. Drives through. Bounces around. Gets stuck. And gonna pass over to Rutz. Rutz, corner to Thompson. Thompson fakes up to Rutz. Rutz a 3, his 6th. He's got it again! 3 for 6 on the night, extends the lead to 3. Pass to Riul, stolen by Radical. Kastner gets it back, now gets it over to Riul. He'll pass it out to Steffen. He'll drive in, all the way in, puts up a jumper. Bounces out, rebounded by Rademacher. And he'll take it up the floor. Pass over to Radical. Radical puts it up, and he's got it off the glass. Just like that, Lancers now up by 5 with 6:20 left. Kastner up top. He'll drive around. Pass corner, stolen by Rutz. Rutz gonna slow it down. Pass over to Radical. Over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer stripped and picked up by Ross. Pass over to Kastner, and Kastner will take it up the floor. Drives around. Drives through, bounces out, and sends it over to Riul. Sends it out, stripped, and stolen away by Rutz. Rutz up the floor to Thompson. Thompson gonna bounce out, hand it off to Rutz. Rutz drives through. Pass over to Rademacher. Fakes, gonna send it over to Thompson. Thompson drives around, gonna pass over to Havemeyer. He'll drive through, and is fouled. Paul, Anderson, and Fisher will enter. And Thompson exits for Plath. Rutz passes into Plath, over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer the open 3. And he's got it. Extends the lead to 8. Passing to Paul, and Paul will take it up the floor. Gonna send it over to Fisher. Fisher drives in, bounces out, fakes, and gonna pass over to Paul. Paul fakes. He'll drive in, all the way in, and gonna pass it out to Steffen. Gets stuck. Pass out to Fisher. Fisher drives in, gonna pass out to Anderson. Anderson all over to Paul. Over to Fisher, over to Anderson. Up to Fisher. Fisher drives in, bounces out to Paul. Paul a deep 3. And he's got it again. Extends the lead to 5, cuts the lead to 5. Havemeyer up to Rademacher. Rademacher over to Rutz. Stolen away by Paul. Paul's got open floor, puts it up, and lays it in. Passing to Rademacher, over to Plath. Plath drives around. Pass over to Rutz. Rutz on the corner, puts up a 3. He's got it again! Rutz's 4th of the night, extends the Lancer lead to 6. Pass over to Fisher. Corner to Anderson. Up to Fisher. He'll drive in, pass over to Anderson. Anderson in the corner, gonna pass all over to Paul. Paul, corner to Steffen. He'll drive through. All the way in, puts it up, and he lays it in off the glass. Cuts the lead down to 4, pass up to Plath. Plath's got a one-on-one, gonna bounce it out. And pass over to Rutz. Rutz drives in, all the way in, puts it up, and lays it in. Extends the lead back to 6. Paul will take it up the floor. Sends it over to Fisher. Corner to Anderson. Back up to Fisher. Fisher drives in. Pass down low. Stripped. And picked up by Radical. Stolen by Steffen. He'll hand it up to Paul. Paul at 3 from the corner. And he's got it! His 3rd of the night. Pass over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer gonna fake, drive around, makes a move, drives through. And crosses the line. Pass over to Rutz. Rutz up top, gonna send it over to Rademacher. Up top to Plath. He'll fake, drive in, all the way in, puts it up, and it's fouled. Plath first. We'll rim out. Quaid enters for Radical. And Plath second. Will bounce out. Tipped out and rebounded by Paul. Paul had the floor to Fisher. Fisher down low to Anderson. Over to Fisher, tipped out of bounds. Hornet ball. Sito enters for Plath. And pass into Ross. He'll send it out to Fisher, over to Anderson. Anderson fakes it, a pass down low, stolen by Rutz. Rutz got a 2-on-2, gonna pass over to Havemeyer, tipped twice and out of bounds off the Hornets. Kastner enters for Anderson. And Sito will pass it in down low. Pass out to Rutz. Over to Havemeyer. Gonna fake, drive through. Pass out to Rutz. Rutz fakes, bounces out, takes a 3. And this one gonna bounce out. Pass up to Paul. Paul drives through, fakes, puts up a jumper, and gonna rim out, rebounded by Ross. He'll drive through, put it up. This one gonna bounce out as well, rebounded by Paul, he puts it up. This one gonna bounce out, tipped around, rebounded by Paul, he puts it up again. This one gonna bounce out, rebounded by Sito. Sito drives around and crosses the line. He'll drive in, bounce out. Drives through again, gonna pass over to Rutz. Rutz fakes and travels. Passing to Paul. Paul over to Fisher. Corner to Kastner. He'll put up a jumper. And he's got it. Cuts the lead down to 1. 2 minutes left. Passing to Havemeyer. Up to Sito. Over to Rademacher. He'll drive in. Cuts out. Drives up top. And going to hand it off to Sito. Sito drives in. Makes a move. Puts it up. And gets the spinning jumper to fall. Sends the lead back to 3. Pass over to Paul. Corner to Fisher. He'll drive in. And pass corner to Kastner. He'll fake. Gets stripped. Picked up by Kastner. Over to Fisher. Too far. He'll get it anyway. Send over to Paul. Over to Fisher. Fisher drives in. Pass down low. Steffen gets the layup to Paul. Cuts the lead down to 1. Pass into Rademacher. Sends it over to Havemeyer. Up the floor to Quaid. Quaid drives in, all the way in. He's got a lane, puts it up, and he lays it in off the glass. Sends the lead back to 3. Pass over to Paul, Paul up the floor. Sends over to Fisher. Over to Paul. He'll fake, and pass over to Kastner, down low. Over to Steffen, he puts it up, and he lays it in off the glass. Cuts the lead down to 1. Rademacher up the floor. He'll drive in. Pass out to Quaid. Quaid will drive in. Puts it up, and he's got it off the glass again. Sends the lead to 3. Pass it to Paul. 15 seconds left. Sends it over to Fisher. Over to Kastner. He'll drive through. Gets stripped. He'll get it back. Sends it up to Paul. Over to Fisher, 5 seconds left. Corner to Steffen. And tipped out of bounds off the Hornets. 2.6 seconds left. Lances a chance at a final shot here. Thompson enters for Quaid. 2.6 seconds left. Lancers up by 3. Sito. Passing to Rutz. Makes a move. Puts it up. Bounces around and in! Rutz! Exclamation point to end the half! Step back! Blue line 3! Lancers leading by 6 at the half. 38-32. Lancers leading by 6 at the start of the second half. Siddle will pass it in from the corner. Gets it into Havemeyer. Havemeyer going to drive around, bounce out, and pass it to Plath. Over to Rutz. Rutz fakes. He'll send it over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer drives through. Bounces out, sends it over to Siddle. Siddle with jumper. He's got it. Sends the lead to 8. Passing to Paul. Paul up the floor. Sends it over to Raul. Down low, kicks it out to Burnt. Burnt drives all the way through. Sends it out. Stefan is along 2. Off the front of the rim. Tipped. Saved. Into Burnt. Burnt fakes. Drives in. Puts up a jumper, and he's got it off the glass. Extends the lead to 6. Cuts the lead to 6. Siddle pass over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer up the floor. Gonna drive around. And pass all the way over to Plath. Plath bounces in, drives around, pass over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer fakes. He'll drive in, has a lane, puts it up, and he's got it off the glass. Extends the Lancer lead to 8. Paul up the floor. Sends it over to Raul. Corner to Burnt. Down low to Anderson. He puts it up and bounces out. Rebounded by Siddle. Siddle up the floor. Sends over to Rutz. Rutz fakes. Going to drive in. Bounce out. And sends over to Plath. Out to Rademacher. Down low to Siddle. Siddle drives in. Bounces out. And he'll take it up top. Up to Havemeyer. Havemeyer fakes. Bounces out. Gonna send it over to Rademacher. Fakes to Plath. Drives in. And gonna pass over to Plath. Up to Siddle. Siddle fakes. Up to Rutz. Rutz fakes. Gonna drive in. Sends over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer fakes. He'll drive in. Puts it up. Rims out. Rebounded by Rademacher. He puts it back up and he is fouled. Rademacher is first. Will bounce around and in. And his second. Will bounce out. Tipped by Rutz, picked up by Rademacher. Rademacher drives in, all the way in, puts it up. And out of bounds off the Hornets. Siddle will pass it in down low. Gets it into Havemeyer. Havemeyer gets the screen, gonna drive around, bounce out, sends over to Siddle. Siddle fakes, gonna pass over to Plath. He'll drive in, bounce out, and pass over to Havemeyer. Gets a screen, gonna drive in, bounce out. Makes a move, drives inside, puts it up, and is fouled. And he will go to the line and shoot 2. Havemeyer is first. Will bounce around and in. Sends Lancer lead to 10. And his second will fall as well. Pass into Paul. Paul takes it up the floor. Sends it over to Burnt. Corner to Raul. Down low to Ross. Out to Stefan. He'll send it over to Paul. Paul puts up a deep 3. Gonna bounce out. Rebounded by Rutz. Rutz stripped. He'll get it back and sends it over to Siddle. Siddle up to Plath. Plath drives in, all the way in, puts it up, and in, tipped off the glass, rebounded by Rademacher, tipped around, picked up by Paul. Paul up the floor, drives through, gets stripped, he'll get it back, ball on the floor, tipped out, picked up by Havemeyer. And jump ball. And that'll stay with the Hornets. Raul will pass it in from the corner to Paul. Over to Burnt. Up to Ross. Over to Stefan. Over to Paul. Paul fakes. He'll drive around. Sends over to Raul. He'll drive in. Pass down low. Burnt. Blocked but fouled by Rademacher. His first will fall. And his second will fall as well. Cuts the lead down to 9. Pass over to Havemeyer. Over to Sito. He'll take it up the floor. Bounces out. Gets stuck. Pass over to Rademacher. He'll drive in. Puts it up. And a charge. Quaid enters for Rademacher, who has 2 fouls. Burnt will pass it into Paul, and Paul will take it up the floor. Gonna drive around. Pass blocked, and picked up by Havemeyer. Sends over to Rutz. Rutz fakes, drives in, gonna pass out to Havemeyer. Havemeyer fakes. He'll get a screen. Gonna bounce out. Makes a move, drives inside, puts it up, and he's got it off the glass! Nice move by Havemeyer. Lancers now up by 11. Over to Burnt. Over to Stefan. He'll drive through, gets stripped, picked up by Sito. Sito over to Quaid, Quaid over to Sito, Sito up the floor. Pass over to Plath. Drives all the way through, puts up a jumper, and he's got it. Sends the Lancer lead to 13. Paul up top. Sends it over to Burnt. Corner to Raul. He'll drive in. Gets stuck. And gonna pass it over to Ross. Ross backs him down. Gonna pass over to Stefan. He'll drive in. Puts up a jumper, and he's got it. Cuts the lead down to 11 and a timeout by the Hornets. 49-38 with 13:02 left. Sito will pass it in to Havemeyer. Havemeyer up to Rutz. Rutz over to Havemeyer. Over to Sito. Over to Rutz. Rutz over to Havemeyer. Over to Plath. Over to Havemeyer. Over to Sito. Sito fakes. He'll drive in. Bounce out. And he's got it up top. He'll drive around. Sends it over to Havemeyer. Corner to Plath. Up to Havemeyer. Over to Sito. Fakes. Gonna drive through. Puts over to Rutz. Rutz corner 3. Off the corner of the backboard. And Paul will take it up the floor. Pass over to Fisher. Over to Kastner. He'll drive through and pass over to Burnt. Over to Paul. Paul up top. Drives through. Puts it up. And he's got it up. Sitto over to Havemeyer. Over to Sitto. Over to Havemeyer. Over to Plath. He'll drive in. All the way in. And pass it to Rutz. Rutz, the open three from the corner. Gonna bounce out. Rebounded by Kastner. Pass over to Fisher. Over to Paul. Over to Kastner. He'll drive in and pass it to Fisher. Fake's gonna send it over to Paul. Deep three. Too far, rebounded by Rutz. Rutz up the floor. Gonna bounce it out, sends it over to Plath in the corner. Up to Sitto. Over to Havemeyer. Over to Rutz. Rutz up to Sitto. Sitto with jumper. Gonna bounce out, rebounded by Paul. Paul up the floor. Makes a move, puts up and blocked from behind by Plath. Saved by Plath, pass it to Quaid. Quaid up the floor. Pass over to Sitto. Sitto fakes, gonna pass up to Plath. Over to Sitto. Pass stolen away by Kastner. He's got a 2-on-2. Gonna pass down low, stolen away by Rutz. Rutz up the floor to Quaid. Quaid's got a 1-on-1, puts it up, and he's got it off the glass. Lancer has an 11-point lead and a timeout. 51-40, 11-point lead for the Lancers with 10:37 left. Passing to Paul. Over to Kastner. Sent over to Fisher. Down low to Anderson. He puts it up. And going to bounce out, rebounded by Quaid. And he'll take it up the floor. Over to Sitto. Sitto drives in. Going to pass over to Plath in the corner. Up to Sitto. We'll drive around. Pass over to Havemeyer. Over to Rutz. Rutz up to Sitto, over to Plath. Plath a three in the corner. Shot tips out. Rebounded by Kastner, sent up to Paul. Fakes. Pass down low, and Fisher layup tips out. Rebounded by Sitto. Sends it over to Havemeyer. Corner to Rutz. Rutz over to Sitto. Sitto over to Plath. Plath drives around. I'm going to pass him to Sitto. Sitto drives in. Pass over to Plath. Jumper. Going to rim out. Rebounded and sent over to Paul. Makes a move. Puts it up. Going to bounce out. Rebounded by Rutz. Rutz up to Havemeyer. And it's fouled. Rademacher and Thompson are for Quaid and Plath. And Steffen enters for Paul. Pass it to Havemeyer. Over to Sitto. Corner to Rutz. Up to Sitto. Over to Havemeyer. Corner to Thompson. Thompson fakes. Up to Havemeyer. Over to Sitto. Over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer three. And he's got it. Extends the lead to 14. Fisher up top. Sends it over to Kastner. He'll fake. Bounce in, bounce out. Sends it over to Anderson. He'll drive in, pass over to Fisher. Corner to Steffen. Down low, tipped around, picked up by Thompson. Pass over to Sitto, Sitto up the floor. He'll drive in, bounce out, and send it over to Havemeyer. Up to Sito. Over to Thompson. He'll drive in, fake, pass over to Rutz. Rutz fakes. Gonna pass over to Thompson. Gonna pass over to Sito. Over to Havemeyer. Havemeyer 3. And he's got it again! Havemeyer, 2 quick threes. Lancers are up by 17. Fisher off the floor. Gonna drive in. Pass over, no one there. And tip back in to Steffen. Steffen a 3, and he's got it! Cuts the lead down to 14. And a timeout by the Hornets. 57-43, 14-point lead for the Lancers with 7:56 left. (57-43), 14-point lead for the Lancers with 7:56 left. Sito will pass it in to Rutz. Up to Havemeyer. Over to Rademacher. He'll drive up. To the corner. Pass out to Havemeyer. He'll cut out. Drive through, pass over to Thompson. Thompson fakes, gonna pass over to Rademacher. He'll drive in, put it up, and he's got it off the glass. Nice moves by Rademacher, and the Lancers extends the lead to 16. Pass over to Castor. Over to Fisher, stolen away by Thompson. He's got a 2-on-2. Gonna bounce out, hand it off to Rutz. Rutz drives around. He'll take it up top. Sends it over to Sito. Up top to Rademacher. Pass over to Rutz. Rutz a 3. And he's got it! Rutz again from deep. Sends the Lancer lead to 19. Pass over to Anderson. He'll bounce in. Pass down low to Ross. He puts it up. And he's got it off the glass. Cuts the lead down to 17. Pass on to Rutz. Rutz up to Sito. Sito will cross the line. Drive to the corner. Drive around. All the way around. Bounces out. And sends it over to Rademacher. He'll drive around. Bounce out. And pass over to Havemeyer. He'll drive through. Pass out to Thompson. Thompson a 3. Too far. Tipped around. And picked up by Kastner. Fisher, pass over to Kastner. Down low. Weary puts it up. Can't get it to fall. Kastner puts it up. He can't get it to fall. Rebounded by Rademacher. Rademacher up the floor. Drives in. Bounces out. And sends it up to Sito. Gonna drive through. Pass over to Rutz. Rutz drives through. Loses it. Gonna pass out to Rademacher. Get the screen. Gonna drive in. Make a move. Puts it up. And he's got it in 1. Rademacher, a nice strong drive. Extends the Lancer lead to 19 at the line to extend it to 20. Radical enters for Thompson. And Weiss, ready, and Burnt enter. Rademacher's first and only will fall. Sends the Lancer lead to 20. Pass into Fisher. Fisher up the floor. Sends it over to Weiss. Over to Fisher. Fakes to Steffen. Now going to go to Steffen. Steffen a three. Going to bounce around and in. Steffen another one. Sito passing to Rutz. Rutz up the floor. Going to pass over to Rademacher. Up top to Havmeyer. Makes a move. Drives inside. Going to pass out to Rademacher. Fakes to Rutz. Now going to drive in. Puts it up. And he's got it off the glass again. Sends the lead to 19. Pass into Fisher. Gonna fake. And pass down low. Sends it out to Weiss. Too far. Lancer ball. Thorough will enter for Sito. And Burnt enters for Steffen. Rademacher will pass it in to Havmeyer. He'll fake, drive in, cut out, and drive through across the line. Get the screen. Pass over to Radical. Up top to Rademacher. Send out to Rutz. Rutz backs out, now gonna drive in. Pass over to Havmeyer. Havmeyer fakes. Drives through, puts it up, and tipped out. Rebounded, blocked. Gets it back, and send it up to Burnt. Tipped around to Burnt. Out to Ready. Over to Fisher. Sends it over to Weiss. Pass tipped by Rutz. Still picked up, pass over to Fisher. Now let it Burnt. Burnt fakes. Pass out. Picked up by Fisher. Out to Burnt. Burnt to jumper, gets blocked by Rademacher. Picked up by Thorough, pass over to Rademacher. Rademacher up the floor. Pass over to Radical. Over to Rutz. Rutz down low to Havmeyer. Havmeyer bounces out. Gonna pass over to Rutz. Rutz will take it back out up top. Sends it over to Rademacher. Fakes. Gonna pass him to Rutz. Rutz down low to Radical. Radical drives in. Bounces out. And pass out to Havmeyer. He'll drive through. Bounce out. Sends up to Rutz. Rutz fakes. Gonna drive in. Pass out to Havmeyer. Havmeyer, corner three. And he's got it again! Havmeyer nails another three. The Lancers now up by 22. Fisher up top. Sends it over to Weiss. Pass over to Kastner. Down low to Burnt. And is fouled. Quaid and Brandel enter for Rademacher and Radical. And Paul, Raul, Ross, and Steffen enter. And a timeout by the Lancers. 70-48, 22-point lead for the Lancers with 2:48 left. Pass into Anderson. Over to Steffen. Steffen a three. He's got it again. Steffen good from deep once more. Pass into Halfmeyer. Over to Rutz. Up to Quaid. Quaid over to Thorough. Thorough with jumper. Bounces off. Sent over to Paul. Paul up top. Sends it down low to Ross. Over to Steffen. Tipped around. Picked up by Steffen. Over to Paul. Down low to Ross. Fakes. Sends it out to Paul. Down low. Over to Steffen. He puts it up. And he's got it off the glass. Cuts the lead down to 17. Pass on to Halfmeyer. Gonna drive around. Pass over to Rutz. Rutz will drive around. Drive back through. Pass over to Brandel. Brandel three from the corner. Off. Rebounded by Quaid. Quaid drives through. All the way in. Out to Brandel. Brandel again from the corner. Bounces out again. Paul up top. Pass over to Raul. Raul down low. Out to Burnt. Over to Paul. Paul a three. Bounces out. Tipped around. Rebounded by Raul. He'll take it back out. Drives in. Pass over to Paul. Paul fakes. He'll drive in. And it's fouled. And he will shoot two. Ball's first. Will bounce out. Kastner, Weiss, Reddy, and Burnt will all enter for everyone but Paul. Paul second. Will bounce out. Rebounded by Quaid. Quaid will hand it off to Halfmeyer. Halfmeyer will take it up the floor with 1:15 left and a 17-point lead. Pass over to Brandel. Brandel fakes and a pass over to Halfmeyer. Back over to Brandel. Brandel gets a screen. Gonna drive around and hand it off to Rutz. Rutz over to Brandel. Brandel gonna drive around. Bounces out. Makes a move. And pass over to Quaid. Quaid fakes. He'll drive in. Out to Brandel. Brandel a deep three. Oh, and off the back of the rim. Thompson enters for Rutz. And Burnt enters for Paul. And Kastner enters for Reddy. 50.7 seconds left. 17-point lead for the Lancers, 70-53. Kastner up top. Sends it over to the corner. He'll drive in and pass out to Fisher. Corner to Weiss. Back into Fisher. Over to Anderson. Anderson bounces out. Pass over to Kastner. He'll fake down low. Up top. Pass over to Anderson. Anderson drives in. Cuts out. Pass over to Kastner. Kastner a jumper. Gonna bounce out. Tipped. Rebounded by Thompson. Tipped around. Out of bounds off the Lancers. Leduc will enter for Halfmeyer. And Fisher will pass it in down low to Kastner. Pass out to Anderson. Corner to Fisher. He'll drive in. Pass out. Corner three by Weiss. Too far. Rebounded by Kastner. Puts back up. Puts back up again. Tipped out. Rebounded. And out of bounds off the Hornets. Thompson will pass it in to Brandel. 10 seconds left. He'll take it up the floor. 5 seconds left. He'll drive around. Bounce out. Makes a move. Puts up a three. Picked up by Thorough. Pass back out. And picked up by Fisher. And that'll be the game. 70-53. 17-point lead for the 17-point win for the Lancers over the Hornets. C team won their first game today. JV won their game as well. And Varsity finishes it off with a win. First day where all three boys basketball teams have won this year. Lancers boys varsity will be playing their regional game against Thorpe here on Tuesday at 7. Hope you enjoy the game and have a great night.